Hyun-woo Kim stepped off the transport ship and felt the cold wind hit his face. The planet Kepler 440c was not like Earth. The sky was orange, and two small moons hung in the air like white stones. Strange purple grass grew everywhere, and tall. Black rocks stuck out of the ground like giant teeth. "Welcome to hell," said Young-mi Park, walking up beside him. She was a scientist who studied alien animals. Her thick coat was already covered with the planet's strange dust. Han-woo smiled and picked up his heavy bag full of tools. "It's not that bad. Look at those crystal formations over there. They're beautiful." Young-mi shook her head. "You always see the good in everything. It's going to get you killed out here." The mining camp was built in a valley between tall cliffs. Metal buildings sat next to each other like boxes. Smoke came from the chimneys, and bright lights kept the darkness away. Workers from different planets moved around carrying equipment, and talking in many languages. Most of the workers were not human. The Zentari looked like tall gray people with 4 arms. The Korvac were short and strong, with thick skin like rocks. Only 12 humans worked at this camp. They were the smallest group. Hyun-woo was here to study rocks and find the best places to dig for quantum crystals. These crystals were very valuable. They could power spaceships and make weapons work. But they were hard to find and dangerous. To get on his first day, Hyun-woo met the camp leader, a Zentari named Vector. The alien's forearms moved as he talked. "Human Kim, you must be very careful here," Vector said. His voice was deep and rough. "This planet has many dangers. The animals here are not like animals on other worlds. They are smart. They hunt in groups. They kill for fun." "What kind of animals?" Hyun-woo asked. Viacator's big eyes looked scared. "The Velith. They are the top hunters on this planet. Big as trees, fast as wind, smart as any person. They have black scales and claws that can cut through metal. Most Velith hunt in packs, but there is one that hunts alone." "Just one?" "The locals call him Shadow Death. He is bigger and smarter than the others. He has been killing workers for many years. No one has ever seen him and lived to tell about it." Vector touched Hyun-woo's shoulder with one of his 4 hands. "Stay close to the camp. Never go out alone." But Hyun-woo was not good at following rules. He was a scientist. He needed to explore and study things. Staying in the camp would not help him do his job. On his 3rd day, strange things started happening. A Korvac worker named Dun Volium went to check the mining equipment outside the camp. He never came back. Search teams found his tools scattered on the ground. There were long claw marks on the rocks, but no body. 2 days later, a Zentari woman disappeared while collecting crystal samples. Again, they found only claw marks and drops of blue blood. "It's the Shadow Death," whispered the workers. "He's hunting us." Fear spread through the camp like a disease. Workers stayed inside after dark. No one wanted to work alone, even the strong. Korvac looked nervous. But Hyun-woo was more curious than scared. He studied the claw marks and measured them. Each claw was 8 inches long. The marks were deep, cut into solid rock like it was soft clay. Whatever made these marks was incredibly strong. "This creature is amazing," he told Young-mi as they sat in the dining hall. "Look at these measurements. The spacing between claws, the depth of the cuts. This isn't just a wild animal. This is a perfect hunting machine." Young-mi stared at him. "Amazing? It's killing people, Hyun-woo. I know it's dangerous, but think about it. This creature has evolved to be the perfect predator. It's probably been studying us, learning our habits, planning its attacks. That takes intelligence. Collisions that it's using to murder us." Hyun-woo looked at the pictures he had taken of the claw marks. Maybe it's just doing what it thinks it needs to do to survive. That night, Hyun-woo could not sleep. He kept thinking about the Shadow Death. What did it look like? How did it move so quietly? How was it so smart? He got up and walked to the window. Outside, the mining equipment sat silent under the orange sky. The purple grass moved in the wind. Everything looked peaceful, but Hyun-woo knew the creature was out there somewhere, watching and waiting. The next morning, Hyenwu had to go to the crystal caves. These caves were 2 miles from the camp, in the deep cliffs. The best crystals grew there, but it was also the most dangerous place. "I'll come with you," Youngmi said. "No, I need to work alone. Can move faster and be more careful by myself." Well, that's exactly what the thing wants. Picks off people who are alone. I'll be fine. I have my radio and my emergency beacon. If anything happens, I can call for help. Youngmi grabbed his arm. "Promise me you'll be careful. I promise." Hyenwu walked toward the caves as the orange sun rose higher in the sky. He carried his tools in his notebook. He also had a small laser weapon, though he was not sure it would help against something that could cut through rock. The caves were beautiful. Quantum crystals grew from the walls like frozen lightning. They glowed with blue and white light. Some were as small as his finger, others were bigger than his whole body. Hyenwu worked for hours, taking pictures and notes. He collected small samples and marked the best spots for mining. The work was so interesting that he forgot about the danger. But he was not alone. High above, hidden in the shadows of the cave ceiling, something watched him. It had been following the human since he left the camp. It studied how the human moved, how he worked, how he held his tools. The creature was 9 feet tall, with muscles like steel cables under black scales. Its claws were longer than kitchen knives and sharper than razors. Its eyes were yellow and intelligent. It was Chiron, the Shadow Death. Chiron had been hunting on this planet for over 200 years. He had killed thousands of creatures. He knew exactly how each species acted when they were scared. He knew how they tried to run, how they tried to fight, how they begged for their lives. But this human was different. The human seemed calm, interested, not afraid. This confused Chiron. Fear was what made hunting fun. Fear was what made prey taste good. Without fear, what was the point? Still, the human was small and weak. It would be easy to kill. Chiron dropped silently from the ceiling, landing behind Hyenwu without making a sound. The hunt had begun. Hyenwu felt the temperature drop. The air in the cave suddenly became very cold. The crystals around him stopped glowing as bright. Something was wrong. He turned around slowly. A massive black shape stood behind him. The creature was taller than any person Hyenwu had ever seen. Its body was covered in scales that looked like black metal. Each scale was perfectly shaped and caught the crystal light. The creature's arms were thick with muscle, and its hands ended in claws that gleamed like swords. But it was the eyes that made Hyenwu's breath stop. They were bright yellow, like 2 small suns, and they were intelligent, very intelligent. "Sure." Hyenwu whispered, "You're the Shadow Death." The creature's head tilted slightly. It seemed surprised that the human spoke instead of screaming. Chiron had expected the human to run. All prey ran when they saw him, or they would try to fight with their small weapons. Some would fall down and beg for their lives. But this human just stood there looking at him, not with fear, with something else. "My name is Hyenwu, the human," said, his voice quiet but steady. "What's your name?" Chiron's yellow eyes narrowed. Prey did not ask questions. Prey did not want to know his name. This was very strange. The human slowly reached into his bag. Chiron tensed, ready to strike. If the human pulled out a weapon, but instead, the human took out a small book and a writing tool. "May I?" Hyenwu asked, holding up the book. "I'd like to draw you if that's okay." This was completely outside Chiron's experience. In 200 years of hunting, nothing like this had ever happened. He was so confused that he did not move. Hyenwu sat down on a large crystal and opened his notebook. He began to draw, looking up at Chiron every few seconds. "You're beautiful," Hyenwu said as he worked. "I mean that. I've studied many creatures on many planets, but I've never seen anything like you." Chiron's claws twitched. "Beautiful. Number." One had ever called him beautiful? Terrifying? Yes. Deadly? Yes. A monster? Yes. But beautiful. "Look at your bone structure," Hyenwu continued, still drawing. "The way your skeleton supports all that muscle mass. And your scales. They're not just protection, are they? They're like tiny mirrors. They help you blend into shadows and reflect. light to confuse your prey. The human was right. Chiron's scales did help him hide and hunt. But how did this small creature know that? Most beings never lived long enough to study him. And your claws, Haiyan added, making careful lines in his notebook, they're not just weapons, they're tools. The curve is perfect for climbing rocks. The length gives you reach advantage. Sharpness can cut through almost anything. It's perfect evolution. Chiron found himself moving closer. He wanted to see what the human was drawing. Haiyan held up his notebook. On the page was a detailed picture of Chiron, but it was not the picture of a monster. It was the picture of a magnificent creature. The drawing showed every detail of his scales, the power in his muscles, the intelligence in his eyes. "This is how I see you," Haiyan said. "Not as a monster. It's a masterpiece of evolution." For the first time in his long life, Chiron did not know what to do. He had come here to hunt, to kill, to feed. But this human was treating him like something valuable, something worth studying and admiring. "You've been watching the mining camp for weeks, haven't you?" Haiyan asked. "Learning our schedules, our habits, our weak points. That's not just animal instinct. That's strategy. It's intelligence." Chiron's head moved up and down slightly. Yes, he had been watching. He always studied his prey before hunting. The workers you killed, you took them when they were alone and far from help. You planned each attack. You're not just a predator, you're a tactical genius. No one had ever understood Chiron's methods before. They just saw the death and destruction. But this human saw the planning, the intelligence. The skill Haiyan closed his notebook and looked directly into Chiron's yellow eyes. "I know you could kill me right now. Your claws could cut through my bones like they were sticks. Your strength could crush me without effort, but you haven't done it yet." Why? That was the question Chiron was asking himself. Why had he not killed this human? Why was he listening to these strange words? Why did he care what the human thought of him? "Maybe," Haiyan said slowly, "you're tired of being seen as just a killer. Maybe you want someone to understand that you're more than that." Chiron's claws scraped against the stone floor. The human was wrong. He was a killer. That was what he was made for. It was his purpose. But then why did those words feel so right? "I have to go back to camp soon," Haiyan said, standing up. "My friends will worry if I'm gone too long. I want you to know meeting you has been the most amazing experience of my life." He put his notebook back in his bag and picked up his tools. Then he did something that shocked Chiron even more. He bowed, like the human was showing respect to someone important. "Thank you for not killing me," Haiyan said, "and thank you for letting me see how magnificent you really are." The human walked toward the cave entrance, moved slowly, not running, not hiding, just walking like he was not afraid at all. Chiron watched him go. Every instinct told him to attack now, while the human's back was turned. It would be easy, quick, clean, but he did not move. When Haiyan reached the cave entrance, he turned back and looked at Chiron one more time. "Hope we meet again," he said. "I'd like to learn more about you." And he was gone. Walking back toward the mining camp under the orange sky, Chiron stayed in the cave for a long time, thinking. The human had called him beautiful, magnificent, a masterpiece. No one had ever used such words about him before. He looked at the spot where the human had been sitting. On the ground was a small piece of paper. Chiron picked it up carefully. With the tip of one claw, it was a page from the human's notebook. The drawing of Chiron was on it, along with words written in the human's language. Chiron could not read the words, but he understood that this was meant for him. A gift. For the first time in 200 years, Chiron felt something other than hunger or anger. He felt curious. What was this human? Why was he so different from all the others? Chiron folded the paper carefully and put it inside a crack in the cave wall where it would be safe. Then he climbed up to his favorite watching spot and looked. Toward the mining camp, the human was already back inside the walls, probably telling his friends about the encounter. But Chiron knew that Haiyan would not tell them everything. There had been something special about their meeting, something private, something that had changed both of them. Chiron settled down to watch and wait. He was still a hunter. Now he was hunting for something different. Not food, not prey. He was hunting for understanding. 3 days passed after Haiyan met Chiron in the crystal caves. The human went back to his normal work, but everything felt different now. He knew the Shadow Death was watching him, but he was not afraid. "You seem happy today," Youngmi said as they ate breakfast in the camp dining hall. "Did you find good crystals yesterday?" Something like that. Haiyan smiled. He had not told anyone about meeting Chiron. He knew they would not understand. That morning, Haiyan went to study rock formations near the eastern cliffs. As he worked, he spoke out loud, knowing Chiron was listening from somewhere in the shadows. "These rocks are very old," Haiyan said, examining a stone wall. "Maybe 1,000,000 years old? They were formed when this planet was much hotter." The crystals grew slowly over thousands of years. High above on the cliff, Chiron listened to every word. He had never thought about how rocks were made or how crystals grew. The human's voice was calm and peaceful. It made Chiron feel strange, like he wanted to learn more. "You probably know these cliffs better than anyone," Haiyan continued. "You've been living here for a long time, haven't you? You know every cave, every path, every hiding spot." Charon's yellow eyes watched as the human moved carefully among the rocks. Other species stumbled and made noise when they walked here. But this human moved with respect, like he understood that this was Chiron's home. "I wonder what you've seen in all your years here," Haiyan said. "The changes in the weather, the animals that come and go, the way the crystals grow. You're like a living history book of this planet." No one had ever thought of Chiron as wise before. They only saw him as dangerous. But the human was right. Chiron had seen many things in his long life. He had watched the planet change through seasons and years. On the 4th day, something terrible happened. Haiyan and Youngmi were working together in a narrow canyon, collecting crystal samples. The canyon walls were high and steep. There was only one way in and one way out. Young Mi was taking pictures of the crystal formations when she heard a low growling sound. "Yan, she whispered, fear in her voice. "We're not alone." Yan looked up from his notebook and saw them. 5 Velith predators stood at the canyon entrance, blocking their escape. But these were not like Chiron. They were smaller, with gray scales instead of black. Their eyes were red instead of yellow. And they looked hungry. "Pack hunters," Youngmi breathed. "We're trapped." The lead Velith was called Torvas. He was the leader of a raiding pack that killed for fun. Like Chiron, who was a careful and intelligent hunter, Torvas and his pack were wild and brutal. They destroyed everything they touched. 2 humans, Torvas hissed, his voice like grinding metal, small and weak. "Easy food." The pack started moving forward, their claws scraping against the stone. Haiyan and Youngmi pressed back against the canyon wall. There was nowhere to run. "Stay behind me," Haiyan told Youngmi, pulling out his small laser weapon. He knew. It would not stop 5 Velith, but he had to try. Torvas laughed, a horrible sound. "Little human thinks he can fight us. This will be fun." The pack spread out, surrounding them. Their red eyes glowed with cruelty. They wanted to play with their food before eating it, but they had made one big mistake. They were hunting in Chiron's territory. A shadow fell across the canyon. Something large dropped from the cliff above, landing between the pack and the humans. The ground shook from the impact. Chiron stood up to his full height, his black scales gleaming in the sunlight. He was bigger than any of the pack hunters. His yellow eyes burned with anger. "You do not belong here," Chiron growled, his voice deeper and more dangerous than Torvas. "Shadow Death," Torvas snarled. "We heard stories about you. You are just one. We are 5. Leave now," Chiron said. "Or die." Torvas laughed again. "You protect humans now? Have you gone soft, old hunter?" "I protect what is mine." Da-da-da-da. Words surprised everyone, including Chiron himself. But he knew they were true. These humans, especially Haiyan, were under his protection now. The pack attacked all at once, thinking their numbers would win. They were wrong. Chiron moved like black lightning. His claws cut through the air so fast they made whistling sounds. He was faster, stronger, and much smarter than the pack hunters. The first attacker never reached him. Chiron's claw swept across the Velith's chest, sending him flying into the canyon wall. The The second tried to jump on Chiron's back, but the black predator spun around and caught him in midair. Young Mi watched in amazement. She had studied Velith anatomy for years, but she had never seen one move like this. Chiron was not just fighting, he was dancing. Every movement was perfect, precise, beautiful. Torvas and the two remaining pack members circled Chiron carefully. They realized they had made a terrible mistake. "You cannot protect them forever," Torvas hissed. "We will come back." "Then you will die," Chiron replied simply. The pack leader looked at his fallen packmates and at Chiron's glowing yellow eyes. He had seen enough. With a snarl of rage, he and his remaining hunters fled the canyon. Chiron watched them go, making sure they were really gone. Then he turned to check on the humans. Young Dashmi was unconscious, having fainted during the fight. But Hyanwu was awake, sitting beside her and checking her pulse. "She's okay," Hyanwu said, looking up at Chiron. "Just scared. She'll wake up." Soon, Chiron stepped closer, moving very carefully so he would not frighten the unconscious woman. He looked down at Hyanwu with those intelligent yellow eyes. "Thank you," Hyanwu said quietly. "You saved our lives." Chiron tilted his head, studying the human's face. There was no fear there, only gratitude and something else. "You're something that looked like ... friendship? You called us yours," Hyanwu continued. "You said you protect what is yours. Does that mean we're friends now?" The word friends was strange to Chiron. He had never had friends before. He had only had territory, prey, and enemies. But looking at this small human who had shown him respect and kindness, Chiron thought maybe friendship was something he could learn. He nodded once, slowly. Young Mi began to wake up, moaning softly. Hyanwu helped her sit up while Chiron stepped back to give them space. "What happened?" Young Mi asked, confused. "Where are the pack hunters?" "Gone," Hyanwu said. "Someone scared them away." Young Mi looked around and saw Chiron standing in the shadows. Her eyes went wide with fear, but then she noticed something strange. The legendary Shadow Death was not attacking. He was just waiting. "It's okay," Hyanwu told her. "He's a friend." Young Mi stared at Hyanwu like he had lost his mind. "A friend? That's the creature that's been killing workers?" "No," Hyanwu said firmly. "Those were different Velith, pack hunters. This is Chiron. He just saved our lives." Chiron was surprised to hear the human use his name. He had never told the human what he was called. But somehow, Hyanwu had known young Dashmi stood up slowly, still staring at Chiron. The massive predator could have killed them both in seconds, but he just stood there calmly. "He really saved us?" she asked. "Yes, and he'll probably keep protecting us as long as we're in his territory." Chiron made a low, rumbling sound, not a growl, but something softer. It was his way of agreeing as they walked back to camp. Young Mi kept looking over her shoulder at Chiron, who followed them at a distance. She was still scared, but also amazed. How did this happen? "How did you make friends with the most dangerous predator on the planet?" Hyanwu smiled. "I just treated him with respect, saw him for what he really is. Not a monster, but a magnificent creature with feelings and intelligence." Behind them, Chiron heard those words and felt that strange warm feeling again. For the first time in his long life, he was not just a hunter, he was a guardian. News traveled fast through the galaxy. Then one week, everyone knew about the human who had made friends with the legendary Shadow Death. The story grew bigger and stranger each time someone told it. Some said Hyanwu had magical powers over animals. Others claimed he had built a machine that controlled Velith minds. Few even believed he was not really human at all. Ships began arriving at Kepler-4 to sea. Bounty hunters wanted to capture Chiron and sell him to the highest bidder. Scientists wanted to study the bond between human and predator. Military leaders saw Chiron as the perfect weapon for their armies. The mining camp became crowded and dangerous. New people arrived every day, all wanting something from Hyanwu and his unusual friend. "This is getting out of hand," Young Mi said, as they watched another ship land outside the camp. "There are more visitors than miners now." Hyanwu looked worried. He had not wanted all this attention, just wanted to do his job and spend time with Chiron. But now their peaceful friendship was causing problems for everyone. The worst visitor arrived on the 8th day. Commander Dalsung was a human military officer with cold eyes and an angry face. He wore a black uniform covered with medals and carried a large energy weapon on his belt. "Akim Hoyanwu," Dalsung said when he found Hoyanwu in the crystal lab. "I am here on official business. You and your pet are coming with me." "Chiron is not my pet," Hoyanwu said firmly. "He's my friend, and we're not going anywhere," Dalsung laughed. But it was not a happy sound. "You think you have a choice? That creature is too dangerous to run free. We're going to put it in a cage and teach it to follow orders. With proper training, it could win wars for us. You don't understand. Chiron can't be trained like a dog. He's intelligent, makes his own choices. Everything can be trained if you use the right methods," Dalsung said, pulling a strange device from his bag. It looked like a metal collar with blinking lights. "This neural control collar will make the beast obey any command. No more choices. Just pure obedience." Hoyanwu felt sick looking at the device. "That's horrible. You want to take away everything that makes Chiron special." "I want to make him useful," Dalsung replied. "Right now, he's just a wild animal pretending to be civilized, but we can fix that." That afternoon, Dalsung's soldiers set up traps around the crystal caves. They had energy nets, stun weapons, and the neural control collar. Their plan was simple: capture Chiron when he came to visit Hyan-Wu. But they did not understand what they were dealing with. Chiron smelled the soldiers before he saw them. Their metal weapons and fierce sweat made them easy to detect. He watched from the high cliffs as they prepared their traps. These humans were different from Hyan-Wu and young me. These ones moved like hunters, but they were clumsy and loud. Thought their technology made them smart, but they had no understanding of real hunting. When evening came, Hyan-Wu walked to the caves as usual. But this time, Dalsung and his soldiers followed secretly. Staying far enough back that they thought Chiron would not notice them, they were wrong. "I know you're out there," Hyan-Wu called softly as he entered the main cave. "But be careful. Tonight, there are soldiers hiding nearby. They want to hurt you." Chiron's voice came from the shadows. "I know. I can smell their fear." It was the first time Chiron had spoken directly to Hyan-Wu. His voice was deep and rough, but not scary. It sounded tired and sad. "You can talk," Hyan-Wu said, amazed. "Always could talk. I just never had anyone worth talking to before." Hyan-Wu felt honored. In all his years, Chiron had never spoken to another being. But he trusted Hyan-Wu enough to share his voice. "The soldiers want to put a control collar on you," Hyan-Wu warned. "They think they can make you into a weapon." "Let them try," Chiron rumbled. "It will be the last mistake they make. No, don't kill them. That will only make things worse. More soldiers will come, and they'll be even more dangerous." Chiron stepped out of the shadows. In the crystal light, his black scales looked like living armor. "Then what do you suggest, friend?" The word friend made Hyan-Wu smile, even in this dangerous situation. "Show them that you're not just a beast. Show them that you're intelligent and choose to protect instead of destroy." Outside the cave, Dalsung gave the signal. His soldiers activated their energy nets and rushed forward. But Chiron was ready for them. He moved faster than human eyes could follow. The first soldier found his weapons torn from his hands and thrown far away. The second was picked up gently, but firmly, and set down outside the cave. Unharmed but unable to move from shock, Dalsung fired his stun weapon at Chiron, but the predator simply stepped aside. The energy beam hit the cave wall and bounced harmlessly. "Away. Impossible," Dalsung muttered. "Nothing moves that fast." Chiron approached the commander slowly, his yellow eyes glowing in the darkness. Dalsung tried to back away, but Chiron was between him and the exit. "You want to put a collar?" "On me," Chiron said, his voice echoing through the cave. Dalsung's mouth fell open. It can talk. I can do many things. I can hunt. I can destroy your entire camp if I choose to." Chiron leaned closer, and Dalsung could feel the predator's hot breath on his face. "But I choose not to. Do you know why?" Delsoon shook his head, too scared to speak, because my friend asked me not to. He believes there is a better way than violence, so I will try his way. Chiron picked up the neural control collar and crushed it in one hand. The metal crumpled like paper, and the electronic parts sparked and died. Take your soldiers and leave this place, Chiron continued. If you come back with more weapons and more collars, I will forget my friend's advice about not killing. Dalsung ran from the cave as fast as his legs could carry him. His soldiers followed, leaving their broken equipment behind. But the problems were not over. The next day, a new ship arrived. This one carried Dr. Jin A. Cho, famous scientist who studied alien minds. Unlike Dalsung, Dr. Cho was not interested in controlling Chiron. She wanted to understand him. This is remarkable, she told Hyenwu as they sat in the camp's meeting room. According to my research, Velith brains are evolving. They're becoming more complex, more intelligent. Your friend might be the first of a new kind of Velith. What does that mean? Hyenwu asked. It means he's not just learning to be different, he's actually becoming different. His brain is changing, growing new connections. He's evolving from a predator into something we've never seen before. Dr. Cho showed Hyenwu pictures and charts on her computer. This evolution doesn't just happen randomly. It needs a trigger, something to push the brain to change. I think that trigger was you. Me. Your respect and friendship gave him new emotions to process. Emotions that his old brain couldn't handle. So his brain started growing new parts to deal with these feelings. You didn't just make friends with him. You helped him become a new kind of being. This news was exciting, but also dangerous. If other people learned that humans could trigger evolution in Velith, they would want to capture both Hyenwu and Chiron for experiments. We have to keep this secret, Dr. Cho said. There are groups in the galaxy who would do terrible things to get this power. Military forces, criminal organizations, even some governments. But it was too late. Dr. Cho's research had been monitored by powerful people. Word was already spreading through secret channels that something important was happening in Kepler-44c. More ships were coming, and these would not be filled with curious scientists or simple soldiers. They would carry the most dangerous people in the galaxy, those who wanted to own and control the power of evolution itself. The real danger was just beginning. 2 weeks after Dr. Cho's arrival, the sky above Kepler-442c turned black with ships. Not small transport vessels or research ships, but massive war cruisers that blocked out the orange sun. The hegemony had come. The hegemony was the most powerful force in the galaxy. They controlled hundreds of planets and billions of people. Their leader, Overlord Kethmar, ruled through fear and overwhelming strength. When the hegemony wanted something, they took it, and they wanted Hyenwu and Chiron. Citizens of Kepler-44c, a voice boomed from speakers on the ships above. You are harboring assets of strategic importance to galactic security. Surrender the human Kim Hyenwu and the Velith creature immediately, or face the consequences. The mining camp people ran in panic. The hegemony was known for destroying entire cities to get what they wanted. No one wanted to fight them, but Hyenwu was not afraid. He stood in the center of the camp with Young Mi, Dr. Cho, and Bei Wanshik, a brave Zentari engineer who had become their friend. We're not surrendering to anyone, Hyenwu said firmly. Chiron is not a weapon. He's a free being who makes his own choices. From the shadows near the camp wall, a familiar deep voice spoke. And my choice is to protect my friends. Chiron stepped into the light, but he was not alone. Behind him came 12 other Velith, all with black scales like his. These were other members of his species who had heard about the changes happening to their kind. They had come to see for themselves, and had chosen to follow Chiron's example. Brothers and sisters, Chiron said to the other Velith, these humans showed me that we can be more than just hunters. We can choose our own path. We can protect instead of destroy. The other Velith nodded. They had all felt the same strange feelings that Chiron experienced, the desire to be something greater than mere predators. Young Mi stared in amazement. There are more of them. They're all evolving. Dr. Cho was taking notes as fast as she. could write? This is incredible. The evolution is spreading through the entire species. One act of friendship is changing an entire race of beings. Above them, the hegemony ships began to land. Thousands of soldiers in black armor poured out, carrying advanced weapons and control devices. They set up a perimeter around the mining camp, trapping everyone inside. Overlord Kethmar himself came down in a special transport. He was a tall, thin alien with gray skin and cruel red eyes. His armor was decorated with the bones of creatures he had killed personally. "I am here for the human and the beast," Kethmar announced as he walked into the camp. "They will serve the hegemony, or they will die. There are no other options." "Actually, there's a third option," Hyan Wu said, stepping forward. "We can leave our planet and never come back." Kethmar laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Brave words from someone so small, but words will not save you." He gestured to his soldiers. "Bring me the human alive. Kill the beasts." The soldiers raised their weapons, but before they could, Fire, Chiron, and his companions moved. It was like watching a perfect dance. The 13 Velith spread out through the camp, moving faster than the soldiers could track. But they did not kill randomly like the old pack hunters. Instead, they worked together with intelligence and precision. Chiron leaped over the soldiers' heads and landed behind their formation, cutting off their retreat. 2 of his companions disabled the soldiers' heavy weapons by cutting through the power cables with surgical precision. Others used their speed to confuse and disorient the attackers without causing serious harm. "Impossible," Kethmar snarled.
Ow.
"They're working together like a military unit." "That's because they are Hyan Wu," said. "They're not mindless beasts. They're intelligent beings who chose to protect their friends." The battle raged for hours. The hegemony had superior numbers and technology. But the Velith had something more important. They were fighting for freedom and friendship. It's not conquest and control. Baywanchik proved to be a genius with technology. He used his 4 arms to work on multiple devices at once, turning the camp's mining equipment into defensive weapons. The crystal-powered machinery created energy barriers that protected the humans while giving the Velith cover to attack from young Dashmi, coordinated the evacuation of workers who could not fight, leading them to safety in the deep caves where the hegemony's scanners could not find them. Dr. Cho used her knowledge of Velith biology to help the evolved predators work even better together, pointing out weak spots in the enemy's formation and suggesting tactics. But the real battle was between Chiron and Overlord Keth-Mar, the hegemony. Leader was not just a politician, he was also a skilled warrior who had conquered many worlds. He fought with energy blades and personal shields, using technology to make up for his smaller size. "You are just an animal," Kethmar hissed as he slashed at Chiron with his glowing weapons. "You cannot understand the importance of order and control." "I understand freedom," Chiron replied, dodging the attacks with fluid grace. "I understand choice. I understand friendship. You understand only fear." Their fight moved through the camp and up into the crystal caves. Kethmar was fast and dangerous, but Chiron was fighting for something the Overlord could never comprehend: love for his friends. In the end, Chiron's superior intelligence and emotional strength won. He trapped Kethmar in a crystal chamber and held him there, not killing him, but making it clear that the battle was over. "Your empire is built on fear," Chiron said, looking down at the defeated Overlord. "But fear cannot defeat friendship. Fear cannot stop evolution. Fear cannot change what we have chosen to become." Their leader captured, the hegemony forces surrendered. Some of them, seeing the cooperation between humans and Velith, began to question their own beliefs about power and control. In the weeks that followed, news of the victory spread across the galaxy. Other species that had been oppressed by the hegemony began to rebel. The idea that friendship could be stronger than fear inspired beings on 1,000 worlds. Hanwu was given a new title by the Galactic Council: First Speaker to the Evolved Velith, but he preferred his old job of studying rocks and crystals. Now with Chiron as his permanent research partner, Chiron became the leader of his evolving species, teaching other Velith that they could choose their own destiny. he was no longer the Shadow Death. Now he was called the Guardian of the New Path. The mining camp was transformed into a research station where humans and Velith worked together to study evolution and cooperation. Young Mi became the director. Dr. Cho continued her research. In Bay One, Shik designed new technologies that helped different species communicate better. Every evening, Hanwoo and Chiron would sit together in the crystal caves talking about science and philosophy and the wonders of the universe. The apex predator who had once claimed the human as prey now guarded him like royalty, not because he had to, but because he chose to. "Do you ever miss being just a hunter?" Ianwu asked one night as they watched the two moons rise in the orange sky. Kai-Ron considered the question carefully. "Sometimes I miss the simplicity, but I would not trade what we have now for anything. You showed me that there is more to existence than survival. Showed me that I could choose to be something greater." "You were always something greater," Ianwu replied. "I just helped you see it." Above them, the stars shone bright in the alien sky, and two friends from different worlds sat together in perfect peace, having changed the galaxy through the simple power of mutual respect and understanding. The hunt was over. The friendship would last forever,